and people would come over and dance. The whole idea was to get youngsters to be able to entertain themselves without having to go out late. So we'd do these jams from 12 to 6.
Right.
And at 6, would close, and my friends and I would polish the disco floors so that my dad could take the place over
In the
and
evening.
do the evening stuff. But it was Collegeman Bannerman. The late Collegeman Bannerman, who saw me once. He had come to one of the programs that we hosted at Chatukram, and he thought it was just brilliant. That's what he thought at the time. Then they used to call me Magic George. They said, my name is Magic George in the underworld. I'm the master jock. I'm cool as ice and twice as nice, and and all that. And he says, we're just about to set up a new radio station. It's going to be frequency modulation. I knew what frequency modulation was at the time because I used to just read about radio and people who liked fashion all around the world. And I said, wow, frequency modulation in Ghana. He says, do you know what that is? And I says, yeah, FM stations. I mean, they're like community stations, and they have greater clarity than amplitude modulation. So he liked me immediately.
Right.
And he says, I think you should be one of the people who starts the station. So we're going to have auditions, and you should come over. I discussed it with my mom, and my mom goes, my father would not like you to work for somebody. Your father, that is.
Yeah.
So, he wants you to own your own enterprise. He doesn't want you to be an employee. The Ashanti man that he is. So I don't think he's going to like the idea you're going to work for somebody, let alone an organization that he doesn't think pays well. But I was just crazy about this whole idea of getting an opportunity to address an audience larger than what I was used to.
Yeah.
The largest audience I had addressed to date was maybe 2,000 at a school speech and prize giving day, and then in the nightclub up to maybe 800. Now with frequency modulation, you could address a whole city. So I went for the audition, and I got the job.
Right.
And so from the age of 19, I was already on air. I was going on Collegeman Bannerman's programs. And then by age 20, I'd been hired as a guest artist by GBC, which was the way that you normally hire presenters. You don't give them a job as you do an assistant accountant.
Right.
You hire them as a guest artist. You pay them on a weekly or fortnightly basis. And if they continue doing well, you retain them, you train them, and then hopefully you confirm them.
Right.
And that was the case.
That was how it
So
started
I started
for you.
like that
And
on the same day as Kofi Acholo.
Oh gosh. My goodness. Anyway, so after all of that, we remember the African Disc Jockey Championship that you won. How did you get into that, and how did it make you feel after you won that?
I've always liked challenge. If I hear that somebody reads very well, I want to find out what it is they do to make them read so well.
Right.
And then I want to make friends with them or challenge them.
Yeah. Oh, okay. I like
yes,
that.
And that's the way I learn. I constantly make friends all over the world. I have Jewish friends, Indian friends, Nigerian friends, South African friends. But I make friends. I consciously seek people who are exceptional in their field of endeavor, and I make friends with them.
Right.
Because some people are not really rich, but they're exceptional at something. They might be a good tailor, they may be very good at applique making, they may be very good at makeup. And so my friends all over the world are exceptional performers in the field of endeavor. And when I heard about this disc jockey championship, the man who sold it to me said, the best disc jockeys from Africa are going to meet there. So
Since you like the challenge,
my motivation was to go and meet the best and prove to them that I am better than the rest.
Right.
And so I said, well,
why not?
I can't just show up. I mean, ideally, there should be some competition in Ghana to prove that I am the best here.
True.
So a competition was held in Ghana. I won the competition in Ghana, and based on that, I went to represent Ghana there. But you see, at the time, it was very easy to win the competition because very few people knew the art of mixing records. I was the only person who mixed records on radio. And even for that, I was taken off air because it was not allowed for you to play two songs simultaneously. George Crabb would tell you that he was a controller of programs. Nick Adimado and Joe Kofi, they said, you can't play two songs at the same time. It is not done in the civilized world. And I was the only person who also rapped on radio.
Right.
And for that also, I was banned from going on air for I think 2 weeks.
Because you rap.
Yes, and I was banned from playing rap music on radio because they said it was not an acceptable form of music for radio in our country. And I constantly fought them and said, look, this is the future of music. This is poetry. And I named it RAP. I didn't name it rap, but I named it RAP, which is Rhythmic African Poetry. And I constantly would go on air, and then I would go the Dakwa, just another black brother stepping out in the style as serious as cancer. Attitude like a one of an African, you ain't close to me, it's hard to understand. KKD, I am the ACE. We're talking about a brother who knows his history. I ain't a fantasy, you know the deal. Word to the mother, Mr. Dakwa, I'm real.
When I grow up, I want to be just like you.
And you know,
oh my goodness.
and so it's everything I have done has been based or motivated more by challenge. It's the same with my son and my daughter. We have debate at home, and I remember my son, you know, I would look for people who speak very well. Martin Luther King being one of them, Les Brown another one of them, and I would play their tapes, and I would challenge my son to speak on an issue, any topic, and the idea would be to deliver a speech on something, but make sure the speech is no longer than 3 minutes 30 seconds.
Right.
And he would do it, and sometimes he would laugh and say, "Dad, I mean."
You think you're the Don,
yeah,
right?
really. I don't want to blow my horn, but toot toot. And eventually he won the best youth speaker in the world.
Oh, wow.
And then his little sister won the best youth speaker in the two richest boroughs in England, which is Kensington and Chelsea and Westminster. So we are quite particular about speech and quite particular about the way we address others, because we believe it's possible to live in peace and harmony with everybody. And each one of us, politician, pauper, president, patrician, or plebeian, each one of us must learn to be able to disagree with others without being disagreeable.
True. Fine words, actually. Fine words. I hope somebody's recording it. Anyway, so let's, we probably looked at you and how you all started all of this with your African Disc Jockey Championship and all of that. Let's look at your influence on media. You've done your fair bit. In 30 years, you have created a great brand for yourself, and you've done amazing things for radio. A lot of young people have emulated you. You actually have a foundation to help all of this. What do you think about the media, how far we've come, and what do you think about the media right now and everything that's going on?
The media has come a very long way, and it bothers me when people castigate the media in a very, very nasty way. Because it's important for people to understand, you know, the depths from which we have risen, to recognize that we have done very well as a people.
Yeah.
About 6 years ago, I was in Ghana, and one chauffeur of mine was having a conversation with his friends. We had gone to a workshop, and he said something very interesting, and he says, yes, Kufuor has brought freedom of speech to Ghana. And I laughed, and I said, Kufuor has entrenched freedom of speech in Ghana. But the truth is, the freedom of speech has always been there.
Right.
The only thing is, the speech was in English. So people did not have the freedom to speak the language that they hadn't mastered yet.
Yeah.
It was only when radio came now to be in the local languages that people mustered the courage to speak boldly, because then they believed they would be able to put themselves across intelligently.
Right.
So this whole thing about media, it's first and foremost language. Whether you're writing or you're speaking, it's language. Because if you're writing, your tool is the pen or whatever you're typing on. If you're speaking, your tool is the mouth and the brain. Now, if you have not mastered language, you will not be able to tell your stories as you wish to.
True.
So if you look at the very top of the really good performers on radio, then yes, we have done exceedingly well.
Yeah.
But if you come to the middle and the bottom, then you will complain. But I still don't worry too much about those in the middle and the bottom, because you see, if you want some flowers to grow, you have no choice but to see some weeds grow too.
Yeah.
If you want to uproot all the weeds, I promise you, you will uproot some flowers too.
Yeah.
The only thing is that there has to be some sort of regulation. And the regulation must not be towards a punitive end. It should be towards an educational end. So we can pick those who are getting it wrong and take them off air. But don't just drive them away, take them to school.